Has it happened to you that you wake up in the middle of the night and then it takes you 2 hours to fall asleep again? Or maybe you don't even manage to fall asleep again because you're thinking about work, deadlines, decisions, meetings, conversations, difficult conversations, pressure to be perfect, pressure to be available. And does that sound familiar? I mean, it sounds familiar to me. I've been there. I know that. So that's the topic of today. Hi, I'm Vasi Sanandopoulou. I'm a psychologist and I'm an expert in perfectionism and burnout. And definitely perfectionism and burnout are related to sleep disturbances. So we're going to uncover today the hidden links between high stress and burnout and sleeping issues, disturbances. And of course, I'm going to share tips with you how to reclaim again a good night's sleep, how to reclaim your rest. So, especially high achievers, because this is who we're talking about. When I say high achievers, because this is like a phrase that a word that it has been replicated too much lately. When I talk about high achievers, I talk about professionals who are responsible for a team, managers, leaders. I talk about entrepreneurs that they not only they have a business, but also they want to have an impact. They want to care about others. They want to care about their clients. They want to change their lives, and they care deeply. And when we care deeply, we want to go the extra mile. We want to be really good, not to say actually perfect. So high achievers, they're really vulnerable to sleep issues because again, responsibilities never stop circulating in our minds. Where they're very vulnerable to sleep issues for a lot of reasons. I talked before about perfectionism. I talk about overthinking. These are mental weights that keep us away. We want to be awake. We want to be perfect. We want to go through every detail of our day so that we can make sure that we got it, that we have a solution for every worst case scenario, that we can preempt any future negative outcomes. So this mental rumination is not only difficult to change, to stop if we don't know how to stop it, but it can be really addictive. And especially for our brain that is designed so that it can solve problems, we can really find ourselves stuck in there, believing that we need the rumination, we need to go through that. Otherwise, we're not going to solve problems. Otherwise, we're not going to be perfect. So that makes it difficult for the brain to switch off. And I remember I had a client, let's call him John. He was an executive and he was really struggling with relentless work related thoughts. And especially during night times. This is exactly the moment that you don't want to have these thoughts, but then this was happening. His drive for perfectionism created this constant state of mental alertness and of course, that prevented him from enjoying restful sleep. So now I want to give us a little bit uh, of an insight into what happens to our brain when we worry a lot, when we are overwhelmed, when we are stressed. Not only stressed for a day or two, I'm talking about chronic stress. I'm talking about stress becoming part of our lifestyle that we cannot stop it. So the neuroscience behind sleep disturbances is talking, of course, about our brain's stress response system. This is where, when our amygdala gets activated and it becomes actually overactive, and especially when we're talking about chronic stress, it even changes its shape. And when it changes its shape, then we're constantly on this fight or flight mode. Um, and at that moment, the system releases cortisol, the stress hormone, and that hormone disrupts our sleep cycle. Cortisol is supposed to be high or to follow a natural rhythm and being high in the morning, because that helps us wake up, start the day, have energy. And it's supposed to be low at night so that it allows us to wind down. But again, when stress is constant, it doesn't happen. It is high also at night. Cortisol levels make it really difficult for us to fall asleep. Um, and then there's another question, whether is it the high cortisol that causes the sleep disorders, or is it the sleep or the insomnia and the not enough sleep, the lack of sleep, that leads to more cortisol? So actually, the answer is really complex, and science has evidence from both sides, and that makes it a two-way relationship. This is when we get stuck in this vicious circle. When we have a lot of stress, cortisol is high, we don't sleep well, we don't sleep enough. When we are sleep deprived, then our system goes into the fight mode. We go back again into this alertness. So then our body produces even more cortisol because we think we need it. We are in action. We have to survive. We have to go through the day on a different state than when we are having enough sleep. So you see this cycle that had happened. Um, so how do we change that? Let's go into strategies. How do we change that? How can we not only have a good night's sleep, but now that you know the backstage of it, how can we lower our cortisol? How can we manage to calm our body so that we can have a good night's sleep? So let's start with I think, the most important tip. And I think it's the most important because of the era of constant connection that we live in, but also because of the misunderstanding. We think that what I'm going to say doesn't play a big role, but actually it does. And of course, I'm going to talk about technology. So, because I work with a lot of burned out professionals, one of the questions that I ask them is like, how many hours per day do you spend in front of your screen? Not for work reasons like Zoom meetings, but I'm talking about mobile phone and checking apps, checking Instagram, social media, YouTube videos, reels, etc. So how many hours do you spend? And usually they say 4 to 7 hours. That's already a red flag. Second question, do you spend time on your social media, on your phone before bed? And if yes, how many hours? The answer is always yes. And again, it can be up to 2 or 3 hours. Of course, it's very easy when you start to not stop because you forget about time, but also because of the illusion that this is not work. This is fun. This is just me watching videos. It's YouTube. It's Reels or TikTok. It's okay. However, that's the misunderstanding point. Not only it's the blue light emitted from your screens that interferes with melatonin production, which is crucial for sleep. And that's why your body, your brain doesn't understand that it's time to sleep. But also, your brain is still on work mode. You may think that you are watching videos with kittens or funny videos, whatever you name it, but your brain is processing data. Your brain is still doing work. And it's not even one, let's say, document that you are reading and you're focused on that. We're talking about dozens or hundreds of videos per minute. Imagine the workload that your brain is having at that moment. And then when I explain that to the professionals that I'm working with, and they are burned out, and I say that to them, they all say the same thing. Oh, no wonder why I'm feeling tired the next day. Absolutely. because your brain is still working. You think you're watching something fun and it's 12 midnight, your brain is still working, processing all these billion of information that you're bombarding it with. So, my first and most important tip: drop any technology at least 2 hours before sleep. Your brain needs rest. And by rest, we don't only mean sleep, we mean no more information, no more processing. So drop the mobile phone at least 2 hours before you sleep. As I said, not only because of the blue light, but also because of the information processing. That's one tip. The second thing, create a restful nighttime routine, which means that already start establishing a calming pre-sleep ritual. Lower the lights. The more lights you have around you, around sleep time, the more difficult it is for your body to understand that, oh, we're going into sleep mode. We need to switch off the majority of the thoughts. We need to a really soft lighting and really low lighting. So create this calming environment. The lights, as we said. Read a book. Practice relaxation exercises. Maybe use your phone, but only to listen to some meditation or maybe some audiobook, reading books that you can listen, um, because that will give the signal to your brain that it's time to wind down. So we want to create a restful nighttime routine. Um, the other thing that we want is, and that's something that I heard in a podcast lately. There were studies that they were trying to find whether there's a connection between sleep quality and longevity, or there's another connection between longevity and sleep consistency. And surprisingly, they found that the second one is more related with how many years we're going to live. Sleep consistency. So that means that, do you go to bed the same time and do you wake up the same time? If one day you go at 10, you go to bed at 10, and then the next day you go to bed or you sleep at 1, and then back at 9 because you're sleep deprived, and then you take a nap during the day, and then the next day again late, that disrupts your sleeping patterns enormously. So we need consistency, sleep consistency. It doesn't need to be, to the minute, but you know what I mean. Do we go to bed around that time? Another thing that helps, mindfulness and relaxation techniques. There are plenty out there. There are plenty videos and podcasts and apps that you can use. Again, our body is on fight mode. We're tense. Only when you start practicing mindfulness or a body scan relaxation technique, only then you realize that, oh, I was so tense. My whole body, my jaw, my head, my shoulders, my mouth, my fingers, my arms, my legs, uh, anything. You realize it only when you do that, when you practice mindfulness and relaxation. And also, breathing techniques help a lot. When you learn how to breathe, you practice breathing from your diaphragm. When you practice how you can relax, how you can stay in the present moment, how to relax from your mouth and from your nose, all this is really contributing to you relaxing at that moment. And now I'm going to go to the last tip, which is about what am I going to do with the thoughts about work? I'm going to wake up. I know I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night. Yes, I'm going to practice some mindfulness, but these thoughts are so intrusive about work, and I will worry about my schedule, and I will worry about the conversations and the decisions and the meetings and the team members and all these things. Um, and I know that it's going to affect me. I just read a comment by Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, for your comment. I always go to bed the same time and wake up at the same time, even on weekends. Yes, fantastic. That helps a lot, so that your body is actually creating a rhythm and knows and prepares you even before you start preparing yourself for sleep. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Um, so what do I do with these thoughts? Make sure that you have prepared for the next day at the end of this day. So before I switch off all my computers and I stop work for this day today, I devote 10-15 minutes in order to check what is happening for tomorrow. What are the priorities for tomorrow? What do I need to do tomorrow? And I remind myself what is urgent, what is important, what I'm going to do first. I do a little bit of planning, I make my notes, and that way I can park the thoughts about tomorrow, and I can reassure myself and my brain that we got that. We had that organized already. So that's important. At the moment that we are waking up and we start having these thoughts, it's important that we realize that this is cortisol speaking. This is a stressed brain speaking. This is anxiety speaking. And we need to actually like take a little bit of distance and say, well, my brain actually needs me to go through these conversations now because my brain thinks that this is useful. I'm going to take over now. I think that this is not useful at this moment, but I'm going to make a note. Maybe you can have a notepad next to you and you can make a note. Okay, I'm going to think about it tomorrow. Parking it for later is a really powerful strategy, if you learn how to do it. You can actually debate with your brain and say, I got it. I will do it tomorrow. Don't worry. You don't need to remind it to me again. So parking it for later is really strong and powerful. So what I want to say now is that I will have more strategies, more tips about reclaiming your energy and your productivity amid stress. There's a new webinar happening, 24th of September, from depleted to replenished. Reclaim your energy and productivity amid stress. And I am going to explain. What are the three secrets, the three um, hidden traps that actually keep you exhausted. So I'm going to teach you. I'm going to share with you these hidden traps. I'm going also to share with you how perfectionism is holding you back and it's damaging your productivity and your energy. And I am also going to give you 3 actionable steps so that you can immediately start regaining your energy and your enthusiasm about work. We don't want to get burnout, or if we are already in burnout, how we can reverse that, how we can find our energy and flow again. So you can find the link in the comments. Let me see if I have it here. Yes, you can find the link in the comments. You can register and you can get your ticket. It's a free webinar. You can get your ticket. You can let also other people from your environment know about that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you coming Thursday at the webinar, From Depleted to Replenished. Reclaim your energy and productivity amid stress. Until then, start practicing these tips that we said about the sleep, about technology and how we need to abstain from it at least 2 hours before sleeping, how to create the restful nighttime routine, how we can practice mindfulness and relaxation, and also how to park our thoughts for later, how we can manage so that we have already preempted this overthinking mode so that we take control of our mind. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Looking forward to seeing you in the webinar. Until then, take good care of yourself, take good care of your sleep, and sweet dreams. Have a nice day.